the next step, I do want to do another one on the myocarditis and VAERS.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My committee's got now over 8 million pages of information. Just in the first tranche, by the way, what we discovered is that CDC, somebody in the federal health agencies, this interagency communication, hid the signal. They admitted there was a signal on myocarditis, and they hid it. They didn't warn the public. They didn't warn doctors. So that's just one instance of corruption and lies told by the CDC. We've got a lot of others we'll be rolling out, okay? So we held our first hearing and permanent subcommittee investigation on that hiding of the signal of myocarditis. We've heard a lot of studies, okay? As I've looked into science, it's been thoroughly corrupted. Here's data, and I'd like to enter this sheet into the record. I've been publishing this chart for, since really early 2021, when I'm on, for example, talk radio shows and they talk about this, they get deplatformed, or they were, because of all the censorship during the Biden administration. Here's the facts. The VAERS system that was touted in October of 2020, this great safety surveillance system on COVID, a few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own system. But VAERS shows that there have been 38,742 deaths reported on VAERS worldwide associated with the COVID vaccine. 38,742. 9,252 of those deaths occurred on the day of vaccination or within 1 or 2 days. Again, I agree with you. Nobody knows how many COVID deaths were because the information was completely corrupted. Nobody knows how many lives were saved by the COVID. Again, I think most people, okay, if you're vulnerable, raise your antibodies, reverse severity, fine. There's not any good study on that. There's just information out there, just claims being made. This is hard evidence.
Yeah, 9,000 people died the day after or the day of myocarditis.
That's insane. I have an anecdote around this.
Really?
Yeah. I was taking someone to a vaccination location, and I was very resistant to them getting it, and I voiced those resistance, my concerns. And when we pulled into the parking lot, an ambulance had just pulled up, and there was a guy collapsed as he walked out of the vaccination station on his back. And the paramedics were treating him. They put him in the ambulance and they took him away. I have no idea what happened to him.
Yeah.
But in that moment that we walked up, there was an adverse event happening in front of us.
Man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And there's another interesting component to this too, because the way that I understand they've skewed the data around adverse events regarding the COVID jab is that they don't consider a person fully vaccinated until like some amount of time after the second dose. So if you get the first dose and you have an adverse event and you die, you're considered unvaccinated.
That's ridiculous.
It's insane.
That makes no sense. Yeah.
It's insane. It's incredibly corrupt.
Huh. I mean, note just like how ridiculous it is that the companies that produce the vaccine aren't liable for those.
Oh, I can't even believe
that's
a
another
thing we allow.
argument for the free society angle of this. Is like the liability shield is only possible because of a federal laws that have overwhelmed a long tradition, thousands of years of tradition in the West to say if you injure someone with your product, you are liable from it if it's an unintended effect of the product.
But David, if they weren't immune, then they couldn't, get all this life-saving medical treatment out to the American public.
That's the thing that drives me crazy, is because then you would have the reason to have a study that you would then tell the person there are risks associated with this, and they would have to be fully consenting adults who know the risks. I don't have a problem with someone saying, I know the risks. I'm an old person who really needs this because I'm afraid of COVID, versus I was told that it was perfectly safe.
Right.
Yeah. And especially given the fact that we're only finding out in 2025, 5 years later, that a bunch of people died the day of.
Yeah.
And we don't really understand why. That's the crazy thing, is like these if the mRNA technology was undercooked and we don't really understand what it does, in a liability system, you're then like, we need to keep testing this to make sure that we understand the underlying biological markers that would make this safe or unsafe. You would have a reason to pursue that. But as long as you have a system, a progressive system that is top down and done for your benefit, not by your volition, the more you have the incentive to create systems that just lie to you and just say for your own benefit, this is what's going to happen. And the more that we're going to get, you're just a guinea pig.
Yeah.
You're just a test subject in this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy we've allowed it to get to this point.